be back. It feels good to be back. This is the first Loncar Live in a minute, to say the least. And this will be a regular thing moving forward here on Wednesdays in the afternoon. Thanks to all of you for being here. What's up, guys? Welcome into the Twitch live stream. We don't call this Loncar Live for nothing. Lots of other podcasts, I think most podcasts, they do recording, they do the edits, they put it up. No. That's why I like to call this a talk show. We are here today, and thanks to all of you for joining in. This is exciting for me, man. It's exciting to be back. Welcome in, guys. Shout out to my boy, Justin Kelly, over on the America's Carding channel with that big boy Ray to start off the stream right. Today, to say the least, is a very, very special guest. My main man, Mr. Brian Fite, also known as BBZ, also known as possibly the biggest mid-stakes online crusher that there is at the moment. He's going to be on set today talking about everything, his life journey, his coaching journey, how it feels to be a dad for the first time in 2022, and all of his plans moving forward. Also, for those of you asking, I've been getting lots of text messages today, yesterday. Brian Fite and TurboKings is now partnered up, is now, I don't know the exact terminology, but now you can enjoy Brian Fite's coaching over on the BBZ platform. If you don't know BBZ, I mean, anything with Jordan and Ape Styles on it, you know it's going to be good. You know it's going to be great. And the great just got a little bit greater, because now you can enjoy all of the TurboKings coaching content over on the BBZ platform, and it gets even better. But we're going to talk about all the details regarding that here on the show. Let's get into it now with Mr. Brian Fite and talk about his life, his journey, and everything that's coming up for him. Let's get it.
All right, I got a little bit nervous there. What's up, guys? Great to be here. Thanks for the awesome intro, Michael.
Yeah.
You are truly, truly good at what you do, man. Thanks. It's great to be here. It's an honor and a pleasure. Can't wait to get into it and chop it up a little bit here.
Yeah, and obviously we've got a lot of stuff to reveal and answer questions on as far as your... And, first off, congrats on your BBZ coaching status.
Thank you. Thank you.
For those of you that don't know BBZ is... I was going to say elite. It might be the most elite coaching site out there. Mega bosses all over the place. And obviously, it has to be an honor for you to be a part of that coaching staff. So congrats, man.
Yeah, thank you very much. It truly is. And I'm so excited that you're coming over with us. I mean, the TK crew, the TK community, what we built at TK is truly something special. And, we've been a big competitor to all the training sites out there for a few years now, for almost 5 years. BBZ, like you said, has a staff full of just amazing high stake, big winners, smart, talented poker players. And we're bringing over a new element over there that is more geared for the masses, a little bit more boots on the ground. I'm grinding the same stakes that most of you guys listening grind. I have a graph that you can build with a relatively small bankroll. My skill set is, it's not basic and vanilla, but it's a little bit easier to learn and easier to play with than, say, a Nash equilibrium based strategy. We're bringing over a new element over there. Going to maybe, twist the culture up a little bit in a good way. And we couldn't be more excited about it. Thank you.
I do have to say, one of the TurboKings members who will remain unnamed sent me a text yesterday. He's like, "Oh, great! Now everyone on BBZ is going to be edge passing and doing all the awesome stuff that we do. Thanks a lot for making the poker world that much better." He's being sarcastic and yet kind of serious at the same time. But yeah, obviously this is amazing news, and I'm also proud to say that as of today, officially, I am now a BBZ ambassador, and I'm very proud to represent the site and, bring people to BBZ and bring people with us. And for those of you that were nervous about, oh my God, TurboKings is gone, what's going on? No. Same thing, same game, same scheme, same coaching, same everything awesomeness, just over on the BBZ platform now. And we'll get into all that in a little bit. Right now,
sure.
I want to talk about you. I want to talk about, Baby Brian. I want to talk about Brian Fite today. Today's all about you. So let's start off with your journey, your background, how you got into poker, how you became a poker pro. Talk to us about your teenage years, younger years, wherever you want to start with that.
Sure. So this is a story. You guys are going to see this pretty quickly. I love telling this story. I love my life. I'm very fortunate and very blessed. I've been playing poker for a very long time. Poker's been very good to me. I've been very good to poker, meaning I've put the work in and grinded my leather ass off. But it all started back when your boy, Chris Moneymaker, won the main event. That was actually the day my poker career began, and maybe not that day that he won it, but that televised WSOP main event was a life changer for me. So I was an athlete growing up. I was at home watching Sports Center and Baseball Tonight with my dad all the time. High school athlete, essentially like the big dumb jock at school. Not a smart guy that got straight A's. I struggled through every class. I cheated on every quiz. School was a pretty big struggle for me, but the athletics were my jam. So yeah, I'm an ESPN kid growing up, and sure enough, as you guys probably are aware of, they started airing the ESPN main event coverage and at prime time, essentially. So kids like me at home watching football, basketball, baseball, Sports Center, Baseball Tonight, and then all of a sudden, well, they're serving up World Series of Poker action to us. So obviously, like most young men, lights, camera, action, big stacks of money, gambling, interviews, and just being put on this cool stage and pedestal was very attractive to me. So obviously I was like, Dad, what is this? How do I learn to play? Can you teach me? My dad's super cool, super supportive, as is my mom and my whole family. They've been super supportive all the way through my journey, which is easy when you win all the time. But with that being said, he taught me how to play with play chips on the kitchen table when I was about, I guess, 15 years old. And by the time it was time to get my driver's license and get my first truck at 16 years old, I had saved up several $1,000s of poker profit from illegally playing on my dad's accounts before I was 18 years old. So I had a knack for the game right away. I started out playing single table sit and goes with my dad under mom's supervision. Bedtime was still a thing. I still had to go to school in the morning. But, started with no books, no training sites, no YouTube, obviously no Twitch. We're talking about 2004, 2005 here. So just learned how to play the game from this beats this, and these cards are good, these cards are bad, flop, turn, river, position, button, blinds, antes, those types of things. And then from there, started getting online and driving to the local supermarket to make Western Union deposits to get money onto the sites. Cake Poker, Party Poker, Paradise Poker, back in the day. Shout out to anybody who played on Paradise Poker. And, essentially started with one single table tournament on our screen at a time. The two of us just sitting there, shooting the shit, hanging out, talking through poker hands. Queen 10 offsuit was our favorite hand. And then that progressed to, we would win more than we lost, and the balance would start getting a little bit inflated, and we didn't need all the money that we had in the account, so we would move some off. And then, I started getting the green light to play some sessions by myself, and started playing two tables at a time instead of one, and started playing the 10s instead of the 5s. And the natural progression that so many of us have had in poker to some degree was happening for me as a young man. So by the time I was 16 and a half, 17, I'm a year and a half, maybe closer to 2 years into this journey at this point. I was playing relatively probably too lucrative and too high of stakes for a young kid with no real experience, but I was doing it without permission. My dad wasn't putting me in that spot. He wasn't giving me the green light to go play all the different tournaments and buy-ins of sit and goes and everything. I just took it a little bit too far, too fast. He put me in my spot, and I got in trouble essentially for him waking up, checking the balance of the poker account. I lost 4 figures one night on a school night. And that was just like a shell shock to my dad. Like, dude, what the hell did you do? Winning it, no problem. If I win 4 figures, just a pat on the back, high five. But if I lose 4 figures, huge problem. So right away, I've had this low risk mentality instilled into me with regards to poker, because I wasn't allowed to lose a lot, but I was allowed to win a lot. And yet we'll get to this part of the story in a little bit, but that's still how I operate today. My downswings are minimal. My upswings are massive. There's no variance. My graphs are beautiful. I don't like a lot of turbulence. I don't like a lot of second guessing and frustration and tilt and super competitive games. I like big sacks of money. I like competitive to a degree that makes it enjoyable, but not so much that it makes it to where I go any more bald than I already have. Right, guys? So with that being said, getting back on track here, I was a high school baseball player. I was quite the talent, actually. I was Division 5A Defensive Player of the Year in a very competitive district where we had lots of pros come out of the bunch. I went and played at a junior college pretty close to home called Weatherford Junior College. I had a wrecked ankle when I got there. It got worse once I got there, and that's where I made my screen name Beef is 11 on Stars. 11 was my jersey number. B-Fizz was a name that some chick at a party called me when we were having some drinks. She called me B-Fizz for no reason, just randomly, and it stuck for whatever reason. So I became B-Fizz 11 on Stars. Excuse me. And because I was so unable to play, injured, and couldn't do anything, I was on my laptop playing sit and goes during study hall, in the locker room, in my dorm room, and at class. I was just constantly playing sit and goes on Stars. And that's sort of one of the reasons I was anxious to leave school so I could go play poker. But really, I was continuing to chase an MMA career at that time as well. I haven't said anything about MMA quite yet, but I was very into MMA. I was taking Taekwondo, BJJ, Muay Thai, boxing. I was doing all the stuff to become an MMA fighter at one point. Well, that failed, just like, obviously fail. I was injured. I was young. I was stupid. Thought I had a chance. I really didn't. So then my fallback was poker after I dropped out of school. MMA fail. Poker. Got my first apartment. Got my first dog. I got a pit bull, like any smart 18-year-old really would do. Got a pit bull. Moved in with my friends. I was working for my dad's roofing company. And this is, less than a year after graduating high school still. So I was at college for less than a semester. Dropped out. Failed at the MMA thing. Failed at the poker thing. Had to tuck my tail. Move back home in my parents' house, ask for a loan, and essentially start structuring my life like a mature 18-year-old instead of a totally out of control, immature 18-year-old. So that was tough to do. I thought I had it all figured out. No 18-year-old has it all figured out, as we can all attest to. So I moved back home with mom and dad. I went to Fire Academy to become a firefighter because my brother is a longtime firefighter and fire chief. He's currently the fire chief here in a big city in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, named Grand Prairie. He's the bigwig, the fire chief. And he's been a firefighter ever since I was born. He's much older than me. So I was following in his footsteps, trying to be mature, trying to get my shit together, trying to, make a living and then revisit poker later. So that went pretty well. And during Fire Academy, I gained some serious traction with poker. I graduated Fire Academy. I was going around the Metroplex looking for a job, taking the written exam. If I passed the written exam, which I usually did, I would take the physical exam. I was breaking records for the physical exam and then doing the interview panel. And then if you pass the first interview, you go to the next interview, and so on and so forth. But back then I was an 18, 19-year-old kid competing with a lot of, ex-Marines and ex-Army guys, paramedics, seasoned firefighters trying to get the big city job. So it's just extremely competitive, and I was this inexperienced kid who has been playing ball and playing poker and really didn't bring a whole lot to the table with regards to being hireable. So even though I was getting 100s on the written exams, like literally I went to Fort Worth. Fort Worth is a huge city here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. I think there was 3,000 people that showed up for the written test, and there was 2 100s, 2 perfect scores on the written exam, and I was one of those. And I was also breaking course records on the physical. And so to me, as 18-year-old Brian, I'm the biggest winner here. How are these guys not hiring me? I'm crushing the physical test. I'm crushing the written exam. I know all the answers. I'm in better shape than these guys. Who's more hireable than me? Well, it turns out in hindsight, I realized that everybody was more hireable than me. I was super immature. I was a loose cannon. I was inexperienced. I was there for the wrong reasons. And the reason I was there was so that I could be a firefighter for 24 hours and then have 48 hours off to be a poker player. So while I didn't reveal that strategy to the guys who were interviewing me, they could still tell that I was not the most hireable guy of the bunch because of my immaturity and lack of experience. So I was therefore further incentivized, as if I needed any more motivation, to start chasing poker harder and to turn poker into full time faster than I thought I could and would. Instead of being 24 hours at the fire station and 48 hours at home playing poker, I was like, fine, you don't want to hire me? I'm salty. I'm mad about it. I deserve the job. You don't want to give it to me? Fine. I quit. I'm going to go play poker full time. And sure enough, about that time, I found a training site, the first training site that I know of. There was probably one before it, but it was called sngicons.com. SNG, like sit and go, icons, ICONS.com. Doesn't exist anymore. It might even redirect you to another page of like whoever owns the site these days, but basically, they had a site very similar to BBZ, very similar to TK, lots of members, lots of videos, interaction, forums, etc. And I became their most active member pretty quickly. And one day I logged in to watch some videos, and sure enough, on the homepage, upon logging in, there was an advertisement for an empty room that they're trying to rent out at their training mansion. All the coaches of this website lived in the same house. That was a really cool part of it. All the coaches had a training mansion. They called it a mansion. It was a huge house in a big gated neighborhood in Austin, Texas. Austin, Texas is just 3 hours south of where I'm at. So it was pretty like perfect. I felt like I logged in and my life changed that day. You know, I'm calling my mom and dad. I'm calling my friends. I'm sending text messages like, dude, I'm about to move in with a bunch of pros. I told you I wasn't gonna be a firefighter. F that firefighter gig. I'm gonna be a poker pro. These guys have an empty room. I call them up. They want me to go down and interview. I'm like, I'm gonna get it. Da 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 da. I was fired up, right? So sure enough, that's precisely what happened. I drove down 3 hours south. Arrived at their home, was welcomed and greeted just like I thought I would be. They were normal, awesome dudes, just like I remember from the website and the videos they were making. I spent, I think, 2 nights, maybe it was just 1 night, but I think it was 2 nights, kind of just, meshing myself in, getting to know the guys, answering questions, asking questions, and making sure it was truly what I wanted to commit my life to for the next at least little chunk. Because this is, we're talking about a big move. Like I'm an 18-year-old kid who has only gone 45 minutes away for a junior college. I don't travel and like go move in with a bunch of young 20s dudes partying and drinking. I couldn't even drink yet. I wasn't of the legal drinking age yet. So like I was still kind of like sheltered and new and fresh. I was a kid, so like this idea of moving in with a bunch of men who gamble for a living was a little bit daunting to my mom. It was exciting to me, and I was just hoping so badly that I could make it come to fruition. And that's exactly what happened. I got there, we hit it off, we clicked. The deal that they offered me was more than fair. And you guys might recall, some of you guys might recognize the name Space Gravy, Grayson Physiok, former Stars Pro, former Supernova Elite, one of the biggest, baddest S&G grinders in all of the land, then and probably now. Well, anyways, he was moving out of the house and I was taking his room. Well, he lived in the master, and the master had a more expensive rent than all the other rooms. And none of the other guys wanted to take the master because it was more expensive. So I'm this broke kid with a tiny little, just big enough bankroll to have a chance, getting a loan to buy a new monitor so I can be one of the cool kids. Like moving into this house without much resources, without the skill set they have, and I'm paying more rent than all of them. So it's literally like this lopsided, funny situation where I moved in and had my dog with me, and turns out that the homeowner association did not allow pit bulls. I think I mentioned I got a pit bull. And I had this big, white, strong, scary-looking pit bull who eventually got me kicked out of the house. We're about to get to that part of the story. So let's backtrack just a minute. I get there, I get settled in. They start coaching me full-time, mentoring me, letting me ask questions 24/7. I can watch them play. They're watching me play. Reviewing hand history is the whole nine, right? So I'm talking immersed. Immersed is an understatement inside of this poker life. And quickly, I came into form. Quickly, I was already a winning player. I was already getting good results. This is right when SharkScope came about. So you can go to SharkScope and look at my PokerStars graph, guys. BFizz11, BFIZZ11. And go look at the very bottom left corner of that graph. This is about when I moved into Austin. SharkScope was very new, and I had just had enough time to make a few $1,000s and have a tiny little graph going upwards before I moved in with them. So with that being said, I caught on quickly. I have a knack for the game. I don't think that I was born to play the game. I don't think I have special DNA or genetics or anything like that. I just think I have a knack for the game, and in the right setting, I can pick things up quickly. And that's always been a strength of mine, whether it be sports or fighting or poker. Not so much fire. But with that being said, I was up 30K within 4 or 5 months, which was a lot. We're playing sit and goes. We're playing $12 sit and goes, $10, $8, $15, $20 sit and goes. A $30 buy-in was like big for me at this stage. So to make several thousand a month consistently, feeling like I was a printer was like astonishing to me. I knew I could do it. I knew that's what I was there to do. But once I accomplished it, my whole life changed once again. I was like, oh wow, wait, I can print money. I control my destiny. I can decide I want something and just go grind it out and get it. I felt like I had the golden keys to life. So that was a really cool chapter of my life. That was 2008 when I moved into their house, October of 08. And that's how I use the timeline. I graduated high school in 06. The college and firefighter thing was 07 and 08. And then I moved into their house in October of 08. I moved out of their house in the early middle stages of 09 because the homeowner association kicked me and my dog out. And then I went on to make my own training house a few months later. So recruited some students and had everybody move into my house and pay rent. And I had some profit share deals. I was staking one of them. Had a guy that was just helping me coach. Had one of my MMA friends move in that wasn't a poker guy to kind of balance us out a little bit. And we lived happily ever after for a few months until I had my first 100K score, well, my first real score. And I was one of those luck boxes. I'm sure if you're looking at my graph, you can see it. I was one of those luck boxes that, started playing MTTs and then boom, wouldn't you know it, had a six-figure score. Like, who does that, So that it didn't corrupt me like it corrupts some. I stayed the course. I kept playing 180-mans. I kept chasing tournament leaderboards for the weekly, the monthly, the yearly. My average buy-in didn't spike up real high, but I did start playing a little bit higher. I did have a brand new bankroll, a lot of new confidence that I didn't have before that score. Some publicity or exposure. PokerStars did an article on me. It was second in the PokerStars Sunday warm-up 500K. Second for a little bit over 100K. So that was a big boost early on in my career. And then from there, I went on to take third in the tournament leaderboard that year, which is pretty prestigious. Alti AA won it that year, Brian Altman, and Little Kraut, Bobby Kraut, took second that year. So got beat by a couple legit players who probably could still beat me to this day. So no bad feelings there. Did some traveling with my passport package winnings. You guys might know what I'm talking about. If you're a dinosaur like me, the PokerStars tournament leaderboard used to give you passports as your earnings. You didn't get cash. You would get a passport package, and basically that's a buy-in to a live event, hotel, airfare, spending money. And it was like for the PCA 10K Bahamas event, the LAPT 5K, the EPT Maine in Spain, so 5Ks and 10Ks. So I got a package of 3. I did some traveling. I went to Spain by myself and played a 10K. I went to EPT, EPT in LA and played a 5K. I went to the Bahamas twice and played a couple 10Ks there. Took a friend and a girlfriend with me and had a good time. And it was cool, And then from there, we're getting kind of close to Black Friday at this point. From there, though, I consolidated my crew. I was in 2 houses at this point. I had a training house and I had a house that I lived in where I was hosting boot camp. Boot camp is an operation I still run to this day, where I host students and interested parties and learning from me here at my house, whether it be for 2 days, 2 weeks, a week, 10 days. They're custom deals, meals included, all the bells and whistles included. I pimp out the room and make them real comfortable. They get tons of coaching. They watch me play. I watch them play. They play on my setup. They ask questions 24/7, and they leave here a completely different player, right? So that was what I was doing in my secondary house around this time of ultimate success. I had my first 150, 200K year, whatever it was, and then consolidated my whole team and moved everybody to Vegas. We moved to a 11 bedroom home in Vegas in April of 11. No, I'm sorry, January of 11. Black Friday was April of 11, right? So we were there for just a few short months before the whole world got turned upside down. My name was on the lease. We're talking about I don't want to exaggerate, $4,500, $5,000 per month in rent, which back then was a hell of a lot more than it is today. That same house today would probably be $10,000 per month. So just an ungodly amount of money for rent. I was the only name on the lease. I was on all the utilities. I was the one paying all the bills. It was all on my back. It was all going perfectly well. I was coaching everybody, staking everybody. I was backed and coached by Cal Anderson back in the day, Cal 42688. He was visiting, coming and going. We were playing live events. It was just, there were stacks of money everywhere. It was amazing. And then Black Friday happened, and all those stacks of money everywhere were trapped online, right? So it was a really bad spot for all of us. We didn't keep much money offline. It was the wild, wild west. You didn't need to. We weren't looking to load our bank accounts full of money and pay a lot of taxes quite yet. So we kept all the money online, waiting to, make it taxable and keeping our funds on as our bankrolls and swagging out and playing some poker, So it was going really well. And then we woke up to Black Friday. All the money was frozen. Everybody had to move out. And the penalty and the weight and the big crash of breaking the lease and everything else that comes with that was all on me. So it was a really tough time to be stranded with no money, breaking a lease and my credit getting wrecked, having upset landlords, having to deal with utilities and all this other crap that's just an annoyance at the time, and then having to seek out a place to live and a freaking loan so I can eat. Not literally so I could eat, but it was dire. I had a couple months of expenses in my bank account and multiple 6 figures online. So it was a very unfortunate situation where, yeah, I had collateral sorta, but I was getting loans based on I can win the money back, or hopefully they give me my money back and I can pay you back. So it wasn't really the best setting to get a loan in. So from there, I was, to say I was distraught and devastated, probably an understatement. And before I move past this point, actually, I wanted to ask you, Loncar, what were you doing during Black Friday? What happened to you? Was it similar for you, or were you
I,
not quite as stranded?
I was on the Coachella Music Festival grounds, which was 20 minutes from where I was living at the time, down in Rancho Mirage near Palm Springs, and I was partying with friends, and I look at a phone text message from my friend,
Oh boy.
and this is April 15th, 2011. He's like, "Yo, online sites are done," and I'm like, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" And uh, let's just say I didn't party the rest of the day. I went home and was just sick to my stomach, and I had to break my lease down there and move up to Canada. And for
Yeah,
those of you that don't
yeah.
know,
So
Black
you can
Friday,
share. I'm sure
yes,
most of us can share those feelings,
yes.
right?
So for those of you that don't know, Black Friday, April
Yeah.
15th, 2011, you can Google all about it. The DOJ, the United States Department of Justice, stepped in and completely shut down poker stars from operating in the United States of America. They shut down Ultimate Bet and Full Tilt Poker, the three biggest sites that were running in the United States at the time, from continuing operating in the United States. And obviously, just like Brian said, for us, I was an online poker grinder, full time professional poker player, playing 90% online at the time, and it was devastating. It was just, it rocked our world. I mean, it changed everything. Yeah, I remember all that. This is awful, man. I hear an echo in the background. Is that on your computer?
Yeah.
Okay. Um,
Right. So, not to say I'm glad you can relate, but I know that we all had our own devastating story
yes.
throughout that time, and mine was about as bad as you can get. I went from living the good life and spending a lot and swagging out and staking all my friends and paying for all the meals and just having a great time as a young man who's freshly successful and doesn't know how to handle it yet, to having nothing. So like it really affected. I mean, to get, vulnerable with you guys, it affected my confidence. It affected my ability to be happy. It affected my appetite. It affected my sex drive. It affected my relationships, not just my girlfriend, but probably I was a worse son, a worse brother, a worse friend. I was devastated. So I was very hungry, determined, and pissed. I was pissed. I really wanted it back, and more so than wanted it back, I needed it back. I had to have it back. That was my dream, and I got to live it for that long. Like a little bit longer than that. I got to do some cool stuff. I got to go some places. I got to win six figures at a time. I got to host for big amounts of money. It was cool. I got to charge $100 an hour for coaching. That was great. I had a big demand. Like I got to do a lot. It wasn't that much of it. I got to do a lot, but it didn't last long enough. It was devastating. So, anyways, I decided, okay, enough is enough. I'm moving back home. I'm going to go to Fire Academy again. I'm going to become a paramedic. I'm going to get this fire job. I'm going to have the full-time income. I'm going to be, verifiable citizen, normal guy. And then I'll follow through with my original plan. I'll play poker 2 days a week and have both the best of both worlds moving forward. So, um, after a short stint in Adam Sherman's home, Adam Sherman is Squee451. You guys might know that name. He's one of the best back in the day. One of the brightest, even still to this day. Super high IQ dude. He's done some work with some other groups, including Pokar. Just really smart MTT pro who had a sick graph for multiple six figures before it all went down, and has done extremely well in life. Anyways, I knew him, and he extended an invite to his house because he had a grind house as well, full of his stake players. I was down and out. I looked for, I was basically just phoning a friend, looking for a lifeline, and he offered me a room in his house for pretty cheap rent to where I could go and try to rebuild. Move in with these guys. The dogs have a little bit of a conflict. It's not ideal, right? There's no sites to play. Everything's shut down. All the money's frozen. I'm trying to spin it up with like micro deposits. It's just the most tilting thing ever. So that didn't last long until I moved back home into a kind of a unique situation. My sister was moving out of a house that I could move in cheaply with no deposit, no lease. It was a month-to-month thing. It was clean. It was cool. It worked for me. So I moved back home to Texas from Vegas and started trying to rebuild. I was doing some coaching work to kind of pay the bills. I think I was charging 50 or 60 an hour back then. I was doing long days of coaching, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours of coaching, and then I was playing on Merge Network, Cake Poker, and I forget the third site, but we're talking post Black Friday. There wasn't a whole lot of options. But with that being said, I made a lot of money really, really quickly because that's what real grinders do. That's what winners do. I'm truly convinced that winners win. I know there's some circumstantial stuff in some of our way. Some people have circumstantial stuff in their way. I get that, but I truly think that winners win. I think they find a way and get it done, whether it's poker or sports or academics or health or anything else. That's part of Brian Fite is winners win. And I've always thought that. Probably got that from my sports days. And I decided to start playing these small fields, start playing these tiny guarantees, start playing these micro tournaments at high volume, win all the money, rebuild, move out of the country, go back to the big sites and make all the money and forget it all ever happened. So that was my plan. It went pretty well. I made 30K in the first, I want to call it 4, 5, 6 months or so. 30K playing, like a sharp scope 30K, not, 30K coaching and some playing. 30K playing, sharp scope dollars, 30K in the poker accounts. Made some money coaching, was making money on the side working with my dad's roofing company. So I was essentially rebuilt. I had a bankroll online, I had money in my bank account, money in my PayPal account, some cash in my pocket. Had some students who were paying for me coaching. So I was like back on my feet. And at this point I was back to taking written exams with fire departments, back to trying to be a firefighter, but really my heart wasn't in it. I wasn't really feeling it. I didn't really have the desire. I was doing it to fill this void of like, man, I don't want to get left high and dry by the online poker community again, or not the poker community, but by the online poker sites again. So kind of doing that to make my parents happy, doing it because I think it's smart, doing it to be mature. But really, I just wanted to play cards. I wanted to grind. I wanted to be a rounder, just like I was before. And so I made the tough decision, and it wasn't a tough decision for me. It was a tough decision to tell my girlfriend I was leaving again, to tell my parents I was leaving again, to tell everybody that was feeling bad for me about all my money being taken away and my life being turned upside down, tell them I'm going to Canada to try again. That was a big step for me. That was hard for me to feel like, you know what? Yeah, I'm proud to say this. It feels good. I'm excited. I'm gonna tell everybody I'm going again. So it took some time to build that courage up and take the plunge to drive across the country, quite literally from deep Texas all the way up to Canada. Because keep in mind, this is 2011. So, no, sorry, this is 2013 now. Some time has passed since Black Friday, but this is when Mexico was crazy. There was the beheadings all over the news, the cartel stuff. It was just it was a bad time to move to Mexico. So, not that I needed mommy and daddy's permission, I didn't have it, so that didn't help. So instead, I decided to head north to Canada. Sorry, guys. Head north to Canada and set up shop there. And because I had a pit bull, and because there's so many different provinces in Canada that have specific and sometimes very picky rules about certain breeds, aggressive breeds like pit bulls and Rottweilers and German Shepherds and Dobermans, etc., I chose the one province in Canada that had zero restrictions. Because my dog now is my everything to me, except for my son and my wife and my family. And my dog then was everything to me. So it's very important that I didn't get my dog taken or put down or anything like that. I didn't want him barking at the mailman and the mailman telling the city and the city knocking on my door and taking my dog. Didn't want to deal with any of that. So I went to the one province that had zero restrictions, which was New Brunswick. New Brunswick just happens to be right above Maine, which happens to be covered in snow all the time. Very cold, very snowed in, very remote, not really somewhere, not a touristy destination whatsoever. Kind of country, not hillbilly, that's an overstatement, but kind of country, hillbilly, you don't go there to be a professional online poker player kind of thing. So everyone's like, why the hell did you go to New Brunswick? Why are you here? Well, it's because my dog. Well, it turns out that was unnecessary. I would have been safe in a lot of other areas, but I was there and it happened for a reason. Things turned out good for me there. I met some good people. Shout out to Jeff Kennedy. That's my boy. I leased Jeff's house for a while. I invited my buddy Lynn Balls 1014, Lenny Foley. Lynn Balls 1014 from Stars. He's also got an incredibly good 500K graph on Stars. He was a boot camp attendee. Things went so well in his first boot camp. He came back for a second boot camp. Things went so well for the second boot camp that we decided, you know what? After Black Friday, we decided let's be roommates and go to Canada together and keep on working together. So we did that, and basically it went terribly for me. I lost a ton of money at the high stakes. I won a ton of money at the low stakes and broke even. While at the time, he was still my student, still kind of my protege vibes. He won 200K, just straight up, chopped the Sunday million, I think it was. couldn't stop winning the 109 turbos and the 215 turbos. He was making like 100% ROI at the 35 180 mans. This dude was just torching everything. And I think it was more of I was down in the dumps. I was running bad. I was pissed. I still didn't have all my money. I wasn't fully recovered. And he was like, had all his money in his bank account. He wasn't as affected by Black Friday. He was on his own dime. I was staked and selling action. He was in this real comfortable, confident, attractive spot. And I truly believe that, energy and focus and sleep and vibes and all these things, confidence especially, have a big impact on tournament players and their ability to really thrive and do well in the space. And I was the opposite of confident. I was the opposite of thriving. I was the opposite of like excited to invest and take a shot. I was probably scared money in some spots. I was tilted money in lots of spots. I was salty. I was mad at the world, like, why am I losing and he's winning, and why am I crushing low stakes but losing at high stakes? So anyways, like, it was a bad 6 months for me. That's how long our lease was. It was a short-term thing. 6 months, wham bam. I broke even. He won $250,000 or so, and I went back home tilted beyond belief. Just like, man, like, when is this going to work out for me again? Is poker not for me? Like, what do I have to do? So anyways, went back home, started spinning my wheels again, grinding it back up, leather ass again, get the money back in the account, get the confidence back up, prove to myself I can do it again. Went through that whole journey again, and then online poker legalized in Vegas. So that was a pretty cool little thing. I was like, legal online poker in Vegas. I can keep on playing the sites I'm playing. I can add these other sites. So I moved to Vegas and start doing it there. It's going pretty well. My graphs are going up. Cashing out, I'm staked at this time, 50-50 profit share deal. We're chopping up the money. Things are going okay. But it just wasn't quite enough. Like, things were going well enough for me to want more. I was thriving at this point. I had turned things around. I had money in my pocket. I had a place of my own. I wasn't living with anybody. Cheap rent. It was kind of a dump, but it was still cheap rent right there by UNLV, University of Las Vegas.
And so this is what this is
and
about.
Then at that time, I started getting messages from my friends living in Mexico. Like, dude, what are you doing? You're like a few hours away. Hit the highway and get down here to Mexico. One sec, I can't hear you. Are you talking to me?
Yeah, I was just saying. So this is like 2014. You're like 23, 24 years old.
You talking to me, bro?
Yes. Oh, there we go. Okay, sorry. I muted myself on the Zoom call there. So this is like 2013, 2014. You're like, 23, 24 years old, something like that?
Correct. Yes. It's middle of 2013 when I consider start moving to Mexico, and I get there in October of 13. And I'm 23, 24 at this point. Yep.
Okay.
So I get to Mexico, Rosarito Beach to be specific, because Rosarito Beach is just south of California. So you can drive from Vegas to Mexico, where Tijuana is, in a few hours. So I packed up my Ford Escape, packed up my dog. We hit the road, got to Mexico in about 4 hours, and I drove down the coast through Tijuana, down the coast to Rosarito Beach, about 20, maybe 30 minutes past Tijuana, down the coast. Started renting a home by myself, no poker house, just wanted to focus on me. Renting a 2 little bedroom house, and again, starting to rebuild on stake and trying to just like plant my foot into this grind again and not ever come back out, not ever move back home, never entertain the firefighter thing again, not have to go through any more, absolute distraught times because of essentially mismanaging funds and not taking care of due diligent kind of stuff. So I was determined this time, and that's my second to last time to fail. Or no, this is my last time to fail, but this is not the time that I turned it all around. So to continue forward, I get there, I'm grinding, things are going well. I get some money in my pocket, make some bad investments, hang out with the wrong people for a while, spend a lot of money on bullshit. There's a lot of girls and partying and boozing and all sorts of stuff, drugs, you name it. It's Tijuana, So like I got there and had a little bit too much fun, made some bad decisions. Enjoyed my mid-20s and was in a bad spot again, coming back from WSOP 2017. Okay. I got there in October of 15. Hopefully I didn't misspeak a minute ago. Got there in October of 15. And then around the middle of 2016, maybe the end of 2016, that's when I got backed by Jordan over at BBZ. So started doing tons of one-on-ones with him. Started playing a little bit higher than I should, probably in hindsight. That's when game solvers came onto the scene around that time, Pio Solver and others. I was getting tons of coaching. I was playing a pretty high average buy-in. I was always trying to play higher. Always wanted to be in the big tournaments. Can I play this 200? Can I play this 500? Can I play this 150? Can I play this? Can I play that? Getting approval to play higher and higher and higher and higher and higher, and dug myself into a nice makeup hole. Okay, so now I went to Vegas to play WSOP while in makeup. Sold a bunch of action at WSOP at a little markup so that I could have 15, 20% of it, and essentially like free roll my trip. And then I get there, I'm bricking and 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 just like sitting at the table tilted, driving to the casino tilted, driving home from the casino tilted, in my hotel room with my dog tilted, just like wondering, what the hell am I doing here? Why am I not home in Mexico, home grinding out of makeup? Why am I not playing all the 180 mans like all day, every day to make $4, $5, $6 per game, make a few hundred per day, put in 100 or 200 days and get my life right? Like, what am I doing? Just go do it right, Brian. So after bricking the whole series off and being super tilted, losing a good amount of my money along the way, because of expenses and hotels and the small piece I did have of myself in the tournaments, just driving home through the desert, like, dude, this is the last time we're going to fail. This can't happen again. Talking to myself, telling myself these things, driving through the desert, like just mad, man, just mad at myself, mad at the world, pissed off that I know I'm a great player. I know I'm a guy that can grind to make a lot of money, and I got nothing to show for it. Well, not near enough anyways. So I probably had like 15K to my name at this time, 15K liquid dollars. And when I say liquid, I mean either cash in my bank or in my poker account or my PayPal account, like liquid money that was to my name. I was still in makeup and I was in some debt, but I had 15K liquid. So I was like, you know what? F this. I'm going all in. Not in an irresponsible way, but I'm putting my foot down. I'm pivoting in a different, better direction kind of way, and just deciding that this is new Brian, no more old Brian. It's over. So I drove through the desert from WSOP back to my condo in Mexico. I get there and I put together the master plan that I thought of on the way home. So the master plan was largely a sit and go prop bet. This is the infamous prop bet that was documented very heavily and detailed on 2+2. There's a 2+2 thread called what was it? I forget the thread name, but basically I was just like updating every single day, talking through all my decisions, answering all the questions, dealing with the trolls. They're over there at 2+2, and is essentially went and bet my whole liquid amount of money on myself. So I kept enough to have a bankroll to play. So I kept 5K as my bankroll. I bet about 10K on myself to profit $10,000 in one calendar month at $15 buy-in sit and goes or smaller. So let me say that again. The prop bet that I got a lot of action for from people in the community was I had to bet on myself to win $10,000 in 1 month at $15 buy-in sit and goes or smaller. No MTTs, no satellites, no spin and goes, no cash games. Only sit and goes, only $15 or smaller, which back then, it might not sound crazy these days. And this is not meant to be a brag, but like the reason it doesn't sound crazy is because people like me have normalized winning huge amounts at low stakes. Back then, it wasn't normalized. It wasn't normal to just win 10K at low stakes sit and goes. Like, what do you mean win 10K at low stakes sit and goes in a month? You can't do that. Bitch, watch me. So I made this big prop bet and I got 2-1. I got 2-1 odds on my money and I bet 10K. So I start the grind and things are going really well. I'm crushing it. I'm cruising, and about halfway through it, keep in mind, I had a 5K roll to start this thing. And I'm no longer staked, by the way. I omitted the part on accident about how I got a fat loan. I don't know. I don't think my boy would mind if I name dropped him here. The same guy who opened his house to me in Vegas after Black Friday, Adam Squee, he gave me a fat loan to pay off BBZ, get out of my makeup, and then start making monthly payments to him to get even for the big chunk he gave me to send to BBZ. Right, so I'm out of makeup with BBZ. I'm paying this guy monthly for the money he gave me to give to BBZ. I'm on my own with a 5K roll left over after betting my other 10K on myself, and I get 2-1 odds, so risking 10 to win 20. And it's going smoothly. I'm crushing it. It's looking like I'm probably going to win this thing halfway through. And on one of the Sundays of this prop bet, I played one single MTT, one bullet on one MTT. It was the 109 Sunday kickoff, 100K guarantee, and I bink it. outright rip it. No chops, no nothing. Just rip it for about 15, 16K, which as you can imagine, now it's like, oh, doesn't even matter if I lose the bet. I got 20K again. Feeling good, feeling like, I'm about to take over. I'm about to be back. BFizz is back, baby. I was fired up. Like you can imagine, fired up. So from there, the prop bet gets even better. I start torching the tables. I'm even not playing the 15s, the highest end of the buy-in that I could play. I wasn't playing them so that I could double down on the 250s for no variance. Double down on the 5s, double down on the 8s, so no variance happened. Like I was doubling down on the lowest stake stuff to win 10K. Everybody was like, you got to run super hot at the 15s. Bro, I wasn't even playing the 15s towards the end of it. I was like, nah, I'm going to crush this thing with no variance at the lowest buy-ins possible. So that's precisely what I did. We got to, this was also pretty popular on Tiltbook back in the day. Tiltbook, that's where I was documenting it all as well. So anyways, I end up winning it on day 27 or day 28. I get bought out by most of the investors bought out. But then I did go on to win the bet for those who didn't buy out. So I had like this massive, I don't know, 25, 30K come up plus the 10K profit that I won at sit and goes. So the 15K from the MTT, my 10 that turned into 20K profit plus my 10 back from the bet, and then about 10K profit at sit and goes. And I had a pretty low overhead, no kids, no expenses, essentially just rent and bills in Mexico. So I was effectively hood rich again. Like I just went from hurting and in trouble and driving through the desert, wondering how I'm going to fix this, to boom, I fixed it. So that was the last time that I ever needed to fix it. And hopefully, knock on wood, the last time that I'll ever need to fix it. With that being said, I love turmoil. I love tough times because it makes you who you are. You see the best in yourself, when you're down in the dumps and really struggling. If you can recover, it's unlike anything else. It's like taking steroids or something. Like to recover from something so devastating 3 times. I mean, that's essentially why I am who I am today. That's why I'm unshakable. I have a lot of confidence. I don't think I know. I don't wonder. I do. This came from experience. This came from building tough skin the really hard way, the way that not many people probably want to do it. So in this journey, I've become this very experienced player, very profitable player, thick skin, and therefore become a really good coach because I can help my players avoid all the mistakes that I made. I've made all the mistakes in the book. I've overspent. I've played above my means, not below. I've used too high of a table count. I've tried to play on hotspots that keep on crashing. I've staked the wrong players. I've been distracted with this, and I've tried to do side projects, and I've played live poker, and I've been in makeup, and I've got loans, and blah, 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 blah. Name it, I've done it. Not all good either. So that's what essentially has turned me into such a unique poker pro, in my opinion. It's all the adversity that I've overcome, and not only overcome, but now I'm thriving more than I ever did. It's not like I got back to being profitable and got back to making it work. The last 3 years of my career have been the best 3 years of my career, and I'm on year 15 right now. Not many guys can say that. Most prominent pros had their best years a long time ago. Most prominent pros are still leveraging what they did, right? So I'm currently leveraging what I do, what I did recently, and what I'm going to do today, tomorrow, and in the near future. So I have some strengths that stemmed from all this. Now let me fast track the last part of the story because we're already up here to like 2016, 2017. So not a whole lot left to cover. So from there, started getting homesick. I met my wife in 2017, late 2017. We started dating.
Where'd you guys meet?
That got pretty cool. We met at it's called Chiltepinos. It's sort of like the Hooters of Mexico.
The Hooters of Mexico.
The Hooters of Mexico, yeah.
Nice.
So me and my boys, me and D-Hens and Lynn Balls and Chris, shout out to Chris. Chris was a Belgian kid that flew to Mexico essentially for an extended boot camp. D-Hens is my boy Danny from high school. I got him into poker and he started doing pretty well. And now he's the crypto guy. And Lynn Balls is the one I told you about who lived with me in Canada and then moved to Mexico with me as well. So we had this crew and we were, we weren't all single, but we were acting like it. And we were going out drinking beers and chasing girls and eating wings and having fun. And my boy Lenny had this thing for the waitress, Susie. They don't wear skimpy clothes, by the way. It's like a normal dressed Hooters, but they got some cute waitresses. And they serve wings and cold beer. So we're going up there all the time, finish our grind session. We're playing, early morning until dinner time ish. So we finish our grind, go blow off some steam with some cheap beers and some cheap wings, and then, chase girls, just like boys do. So my buddy Lenny started dating Susie, who was the waitress at the restaurant. So we continue going up there and starting getting to know the staff and whatnot. And then we decided to throw her a birthday party after hours at the restaurant, which we got approval for. And Susie's sister and her family and everybody shows up. Well, Fernanda is Susie's sister. So I met her at the birthday party of my roommate's girlfriend. So if you've connected these dots, me and my roommate were soon dating sisters. Sisters with the same parents. Like we're dating sisters, me and my roommate. And my roommate, Lynn Balls, is like my best friend, So like me and my best friend are dating sisters. So you can imagine that was pretty awesome. Two white boys in Mexico dating two Mexican sisters. They're both smoking hot. It was really fun, really cool chapter of our life. We were living on the beach. We had effectively a pretty big house. We're back to being successful. I was running what was called Beef's Poker Academy back then. Shout out to anybody left over from Beef's Poker Academy. Y'all are my number ones. That was before TurboKings. And so I was working on projects like Beef's Poker Academy. I was thinking about getting my Twitch stream going. I was on my own. I had all my action. I was out of makeup. I was almost out of debt, and life was good. So from there, started streaming. I got the PokerStars School gig, which was a pretty small time gig, but PokerStars School is, the level under being a PokerStars Pro, essentially. Did that for a little while, joined the GG stream team a little while after that. My Twitch channel was going from like 5, 6, 7 average viewers to 30, 40, 50. I went from no followers to a few thousand followers, so the traction was there. My name was getting well known again. I was back in the winner's circle and was pretty happy with life. But, like I've been away from the house. I've been away from home for what now, like 7, 8 years, between my time in Canada, my time in Vegas, and now all these years in Mexico. I was starting to get, for lack of a better way to put it, a little homesick. So I started planning and plotting for like my eventual move back home to Texas. Now, keep in mind, this was before global poker existed. This was before the Chico network was at least as big as it is now. ACR was not near as massive and awesome and prominent as it is today. So like the idea of moving back home and playing on the USA landscape was very unattractive for quite a while. I wasn't in Mexico because I wanted to be. I was there because I needed to be. It was a necessity to be out of the country to continue making a living. So once that necessity started evaporating, and I also had some side income coming in from the Beef's Poker Academy, and which quickly became TurboKings. Before I moved home, TurboKings was alive and well and growing and thriving. And TurboKings started out as a staking stable. It wasn't a training site. We weren't offering coaching to the masses. It wasn't even public. I was just calling my stake players, my guys, the Turbo Kings. These guys are the kings of turbos. Not your group, not your group, my group. My group's the king of turbos. We're playing 180 mans, 45 mans, on-demands, the hot turbos, you name it. Basically, I was making some turbo beasts so that they could eventually become bigger, better players who are not just turbo players, not just playing short stack stuff, but also some deeper stack stuff and more lucrative poker. But that's why TurboKings was called TurboKings, is because you got to walk before you run. You got to crawl before you walk even. And in poker terms, that means learning push-fold poker before deep stack poker. That means beating small fields before beating big fields. That means beating fast structures before long, drawn-out structures. So again, this idea of doing things in order is where TurboKings originated from. To be good at tournaments, you first need to be good at turbos. And turbos isn't a literal thing, but you need to be good at push fold. You need to be good at 5 blinds, 8 blinds, 10 blinds, 12 blinds, 15 blinds, 20 blinds, 25 blinds. Now that we're getting deeper stacks, okay, we're not playing turbos so much. But you master the short stack stuff, you master ICM, you master bubble play, you master short-handed play, you master heads-up play. You learn about all the concepts and theories and ideologies that make a strong player in the turbos, right? So to be a turbo king is the golden key. This is how I visualize it, how I still think about it, is to be a turbo king, you have the golden key, and now the tournament world is yours. You can go wherever you want. You've got your fundamentals down, you got your foundation laid, you understand all the terminology and lingo, you got a bunch of profit graphs under your belt, you can show people your results and they're sexy and good, you can get people to agree with you that you're the real deal, you're established, solidified, you're a money printing machine, and they can only get better from here. Boom, you're a turbo king. So it's kind of like this graduation thing that I had in mind. Are you a turbo king or not? If the answer is no, I don't want to stake you. If you're a turbo king, boom, you got a lot of the prerequisites I'm looking for. You got a seat at the table. Let's talk about putting you in some bigger tournaments. So, yeah, I was looking to move back home. TurboKings was thriving. Shout out to Spades. Hey, I look over and he's right there.
Spades.
Shout out to Spades 3-5, who was, absolutely instrumental in getting TurboKings off the ground. He joined my Twitch stream just out of sheer luck, right place at the right time. On one of my first streams, I think it was. My layout was terrible. I looked like an absolute rookie because I was. I didn't know how to do any of the graphics or make it look professional at all. And Spades was a cash game specialist, just stumbled onto my tourney stream out of luck and started hanging out. We liked each other's vibe. We get in touch on Skype, I guess it was back then. And he helps me out with my layout and other various things. He's working for free at this point. He just wants access to some coaching sessions, wants to talk poker, get better at tournaments, etc. And eventually the value Spades was bringing to the table was way too big than to just like trade coaching for it. So he started becoming, essentially the TK manager. And I had a bunch of stake players at this point. I think about a dozen or so, maybe half a dozen. And then when Spades came on board, we got to about a dozen pretty quickly. So he had a pretty big workload, managing all these players, reloads and sessions and database reviews and audits and you name it. It's a lot going on, a lot of logistics to stake that many players. On top of that, he was helping me build my Twitch channel. On top of that, we were thinking about transitioning TK from a stable to a training site, which obviously would open up a lot more revenue opportunity. So shout out to Spades once again. You're the man for helping me kind of turn that corner and pivot back then. And to this day, Spades is still very involved as we see him in chat right now. What's up, Bamatide? I see you, dog. Also an OG right there. Lots of OGs in the chat. Shout out to all of you. Much love for everybody being here. Thanks, guys. So TK started making some revenue to where going back home was a little bit more comfortable because I wasn't just relying on playing poker. But at this time, the landscape in USA was looking pretty good. ACR was getting big. They were having lots of series. Ignition / Bovada was really, really good. It always has been and hopefully always will be. I was playing a lot of volume on there, even from Mexico, which was against the rules, I think. And then Global Poker came onto the scene right around this time. Chico was getting big right around this time. So I moved home, became an ACR Stormer, continued streaming on Twitch. This is in November of 19. November of 19 is where we are now. Came home from Mexico, brought my girl with me, brought my dog with me. This is Junior right here. He's my American Pit Bull Terrier. He's about 7 years old. And he's just the best boy. He's just the best boy. And so I brought my girl, brought my dog, road tripped across the country back home. Shout out to my dad for making the trip to Mexico to help us pack up and do all the logistical stuff and then drive back with us. My dad's such a trooper. I love that guy so much. Shout out to my dad for all the help along the way, moving back home from Mexico. We move into a hotel so that we can search for a rental house. All right, so we're living in a hotel for about a week, searching for a rental house, not being picky at all, just need to find something that'll work so we can get our asses out of this hotel, do something short term, and then pivot from there. So we find a house, we move in. I start the ACR Stormers gig. TurboKings starts growing and getting, pretty big and juicy and interesting, and lots of connections are being made. We're getting new members from all over the world. It's getting lucrative and fun, and the stream is getting bigger. I had over 100 average viewers at this point on my Twitch stream, which was like, a dream of mine, essentially. Dream might be strong, but a big goal of mine was to get to 100 average viewers. At this point, I got there early 2020. 2020 was my biggest year ever. That's the year that I just did ridiculous things in the no rat hole cash games on ACR. A lot of you probably recall my Instagram stories. Like, I had this phase when I got home where sobriety wasn't my favorite thing, and I was doing really well, like catching a buzz and playing cash games. Do not try this at home, guys.
Do not try this at home. Do not try this at home.
No, that's not a good plan, especially if we're talking no rat hole. But I went on this insane run. I made multiple hundreds of thousands playing the no rat hole in 2020, including a 63K night at the biggest stakes, 200, 400, 4K buy-in, and you get 10 blinds. I ran it up from 4K to 63K one night. And I also had a 48K night. This is all documented on my social media. If you want to go back and check it out, it's all there. So I had a huge year at the cash games in 2020, had a huge year at the tournaments in 2020, and then pivoted into 21 and had a almost just as big year, but mostly at tournaments this time. Maybe not mostly at tournaments, still had a ton of cash game success, but basically rebuilt, got completely out of debt, made some moves with TK, made some moves in my personal life, and started hosting boot campers again, doing a lot of one-on-ones. TK was going well, stream was going well, everything was going well, and There's no but. There is no but this time, guys. We didn't fall on our face this time. Things are going well this time. And then my wife got pregnant. So this is in um, we got pregnant like middle of 22, and Nolan was middle of 21, and Nolan, my son, was born in May of last year. So it kind of scaled back the poker a little bit, focused on my wife and the pregnancy and the birth of my son, but did a lot of grinding last year as well. Had a 200K year, did a 20K in 40 days prop bet at the low stakes. I started off the year with a big high profile prop bet to make 100, and I think the total that I was striving for was 175, and I had like significant 20K dollars bet on myself. Once again, put my money where my mouth was, bet on myself to perform well. I was up like 40 something K by January 28th or February 2nd, whatever that day was, where it's like early on in the year and I'm torching it and things are going great, and got a buyout super early for a nice profit on that prop bet. So from there, transitioned into grinding full time again, normal. And I was like, man, I'm kind of bored. I'm not feeling the fire. I'm a little bit stagnant, procrastinating, all those things, So I was like, I'm going to make another prop bet. That's about the time that I did the 20K in 40 days prop bet, which really helped boost TK. I mean, I got Dramatic Degen, Dreads, LBH, Poliquito. Those are my profit share guys, including Steve. But Steve has always been with us. But those four of my five guys, found me because of the 20K in 40 days prop bet, whether it be a YouTube highlight, a Twitch stream, or my Instagram story, or right place at the right time. Basically, the 20K in 40 days prop bet really boosted TK, really boosted my one-on-one coaching business, built my profit share team. It was the perfect way to go out before taking my maternity leave, which I know sounds a little bit silly, but that's essentially what it was. My first son was born. My wife needed all the help she could get, and I wanted to spend as much time with him as I possibly could in the early stages. Not that I don't now, but a little bit of maternity leave vibes going on, to where I took about half the year off last year. So I didn't play a whole lot of volume. I wasn't in the trenches. I wasn't boots on the ground all day, every day. I didn't stream very much. I was disconnected for the right reasons. Getting my taxes in order, getting her citizenship in order, becoming a man last year, essentially, getting my ducks in a row. I moved in to this house out of our other rental house into this house late last year, and just got through that, again, maternity transition, and still had a 225K profit year last year, despite the lack of volume. So shout out to that. Running good, play good, run good. And now this year, here we are, finally caught up. This is a long story. Thanks for staying tuned in.
Hell yeah, great story. And I had to say, Juan Pena, my boy in the chat, Jay Pena, he said, great story, very inspiring. So true. Please continue, my man.
Yeah, thanks. And I see Spades. Oh man, the conversations we had while drunk, while playing no rattle, I was out of control. I would be like, up 18K, up 22K, up 34K. I'm up 40K now, Spades. I'm up 44K. Like talking tonight, like tonight, like 10 minutes later, 20 minutes later, playing these insane pots. Little tournament Brian. It was super fun. So yeah, let's get back on track. It is end of last year, and I'm like, okay, I'm priming myself in a very conscious, prepared, premeditated, finger on the trigger kind of way for what is this year. And I've been calling it, this is my prime. No doubt this year is going to be my prime. I'm entering my prime. My best years are not behind me like so many other guys. My best years are, in my opinion, clearly in front of me. My skill set's never been stronger. My network never been more vast. Never been more mature personally. Never been cleaner from a sobriety perspective. I never went to rehab or anything like that, but I like to party. Let's put it that way. I like to party. So I'm clean. I'm getting in shape again. Lost some weight. I got a son. I got a wife. Not a girlfriend, but a wife and a son. I'm on the radar with taxes and everything now. I'm an actual U.S. citizen. All these things. So it's a big year for me last year to kind of set me up and turn me into the man that I need to be to have my biggest year ever, which is where we're at right now. I've entered this year with no prop bets. I don't need extra added motivation. I'm not trying to rebuild. I'm not trying to get out of debt. I'm not trying to establish myself. All those things are in the past. So I'm in the most powerful earning position I've ever been in. I have a massive bankroll. No debt, nothing, no baggage, nothing hanging over me, nothing pulling me in a bunch of different directions except for TK. In a good way. TK is a big responsibility, but running a business, especially as the founder and the owner and no employees, there's not many of us that tried to do that. It's extremely taxing. It's a lot on your plate, no matter what sector it is, whether it's poker or law or academics or medical. It doesn't matter what it is. If you establish a business and operate it yourself, like, it's an enormous amount of time that you don't account for. Little things, 5 minutes here, 8 minutes here, a decision that weighs on you for a week here. All this stuff is what comes with being a business owner. So I had a lot on my plate. But otherwise, it was pure poker, pure coaching, pure studying, pure exercise, meal prep, hang out with my family, seek out the balance, and just crush it. So recently, I was approached by Jordan. Jordan wouldn't mind me saying that. That's how it went down. I had no thoughts of getting out from under TK, collaborating with other people, merging, selling, whatever description you want to use for getting out from under TK so that I can do other things. I didn't have those thoughts. My thoughts were, I need to find a team to optimize this thing so I don't have to focus on it. So I can go be Brian that plays poker, Brian that coaches poker, Brian that streams poker. So like, you know, I was thinking about how I can make my year easier, my life easier without giving too much value away, meaning like without reducing the value that TK is, without making my members' life worse, without people being like, oh, TK sucks now. Like, how can I still make TK awesome without putting my whole life and being into it? And then just out of the blue, not too long ago, a few weeks ago by now, Jordan hits me up. Jordan is BBZ from bbzpoker.com. The tall, slender, handsome dude. Jordan hits me up, and the guy who backed me in Mexico, the guy who gave me all the one-on-ones, the guy who I was in makeup with and I bought out of, and also the guy who was the original the original TurboKings coach. I forgot to make that connection as well. I hit up Jordan when TurboKings was established. I was like, yo, I need a big name to come be a coach and give me credibility and get a bunch of masses signed up for the coaching. I'll give you a chunk. Can you come be a coach? He said yes. It didn't work out. We went separate ways, shook hands. Nobody owed anybody anything. I had to pay him out. But we went separate ways. Friends, good to go. All right, so fast forward all the way to me getting home, and until very recently, a few weeks ago, Jordan and I didn't have a whole lot of interaction. We didn't have conversations. You know, we didn't like stay in the loop with each other. We just knew that we were competitors. You know, we had similar businesses, training sites, looking and trying to get the same people signed up for our business, our training sites. So we were essentially competitors in a very friendly way. And I don't really do too well with the business side of it. You know, like I said, it's a struggle for me to take away from being poker pro Brian, poker coach Brian, mentor Brian. I would rather coach and study and play and stream and be boots on the ground in the trenches, building graphs, making money, and helping others do the same. That's my passion. That's what I'm best at. And building sales email funnels and running marketing campaigns and strategizing and executing and spending all day on the phone, that's not my forte so much. You know, if we're talking about coaching all day on the phone, sure, I'm in. But if we're talking about like business strategic, you know, how to maneuver a business and excel and beat the competition, it's not really my strength, I don't think. I'm the talent. I would like to think that I'm the talent. I'm the poker talent, not the poker business. So, you know, TK was always handicapped by this. They were handicapped by the fact that the lead guy was not a business guy. So it was a big struggle for TK to ever grow. We never got above 100 members, actually, in our time. We flirted with it, but it was just for a split second. So again, like this idea of growing the business was really hindering my ability to be a true, legitimate, full-on poker pro because I was being split. I was being pulled from both directions. So then I get a message on Skype from Jordan about, hey, you know, let's chat, let's catch up, let's see what's going on. And obviously my spidey senses are like, what is this about? You know, like surely he has something up his sleeve. What's going on here? Jordan's not the kind of guy that just hits up people to catch up. You know, he's too busy for that, too successful for that. Too businessy, you know, like he's not just hitting me up to chat. What's going on here? So I'm excited. I get a call in the books with him. We start chopping it up. And sure enough, he has plans, or ideas rather, not plans. He has ideas to merge our two training sites, BBZ Poker and TurboKings Poker, to make us both bigger and better, to make us both more functional, to make us both more profitable, and essentially to help us both extend our hand and our arm out in a bigger reach kind of way to help more people, to interact with more people, to coach more people, to mentor more people, to spread our message to more people. That's the whole point of this thing, right? So I listened to what he had to say. I was very receptive to it. It was a very attractive idea and offer because I know that TK has a lifespan that is predicated on my success, on my activity level, on my ability to scale, on my ability to stay immersed and, stay focused on keeping TK alive is not just about winning at poker. It's not just about streaming poker. There's a lot more to it on the back end. So the idea of getting this big alleviation of duty and having a lot of my time back to myself, and this idea of being put under a massive spotlight that I could never create myself. So for whatever reason, despite all the success I've had, despite the total profit being well over $2 million with a million plus of that on SharkScope, despite big scores, despite crushing sit and goes, crushing MTTs, having a good side on a good graph on every side I play on, you name it, like green check mark, green check mark, green check mark, green check mark. It was similar to not being able to get a fire job. It was just frustrating. Why am I not blowing up? Why am I not becoming mainstream? I still don't have the answer for that, but it doesn't matter anymore. BBZ is going to help me get there. He's going to put me, in a blaster kind of way. He has tons of followers. He has tons of attention, tons of eyes and ears that I never had with TK. He'll help me get on the map, essentially. So that's a big value of this collaboration. Is personally, I'll become the coach in the player profile, kind of selfishly and arrogantly. I admit that I've always wanted to become. Is it for the right reasons? Maybe not, but it's the personal desire that one has, so you can't call it wrong. But with that being said, with all this credibility, with all this on the mapness, comes with a lot of success as well, whether it be charging more per hour, having more demand, a waiting list for the boot camp, a waiting list for my one-on-ones, just the ability to have my message and my persona from a coaching perspective, my ability as a player shouted from the mountaintops to all the eyes and ears that I haven't been able to capture myself. I think it's going to have a pretty significant ripple effect for me personally. So that was really attractive. And then of course there's the other equities and revenue shares and ideas that made the math make sense. But basically the bottom line between this merger between BBZ and TK is that it's a win-win-win. It's a win for BBZ, it's a win for TK, and it's a win for all of our members. So that was really the first thing I wanted to make sure of, is this good for you, good for me, good for them, or no, it's good for all of us. Okay, tell me how. I was all ears, and he was very convincing. The dude's super smart. If you don't know Jordan, he is top level business, smart dude, has his shit together, very well articulated, mature, been around forever, big business, big money kind of guy. So he had a plan put together. He had a vision put together. He articulated it to me. I was in essentially before I said I was in, I was like, man, this sounds amazing. I'm loving this, but played it cool and played a little bit hard to get. And lo and behold, a few days later, we're hammering out the deals of what will be a very long and hopefully fruitful partnership where I'm bringing my TK community over to his community. We're still offering the same but better coaching service, which is 3 live sessions per week. One with Mr. Loncar, one with Spades. We got guest coaches named Big Tuna, who's a TK protege. I don't think Big Tuna would mind me sharing this. He was a guy who bounced around from training site to training site to training site to training site, and then eventually bought Pads on Pads course and was watching the hand history review section of the Pads on Pads course. And there were some TK guys featured in the course because Spades had his hand in creating the course. He provided iteration reports. He used our pre-flop ranges. Spades was a big part of developing that course with Pads. So therefore, TK was kind of linked to it because Spades is TK. Spades was with Pads creating the course. And because of this connection, we got some TK guys into Pads course for the HH review section. We got a couple TK plugs inside the course. And of course, inevitably, several people have made their way over from Pads on Pads to TK because of it. And Sexton Hardcastle, which is Big Tuna, was one of those guys. So he was bouncing around and not getting the results he wanted, got to Pads on Pads, made his way to TK, and absolutely exploded. And exploded might be the wrong descriptive. He absolutely dug his heels in, gained lots of traction, and never looked back. Now he's one of the most consistent winners on the USA sites. He had a, 150K year last year for Mr. Sexton Hardcastle. That's his name on Global and his name on Chico. He goes by Big T. That's what I call him. Big Tuna is his old ACR name. But these days, he's going by Sexton Hardcastle. So he's one of the guys that we're bringing over, along with Loncar and Spades and our entire community of really, this is not a normal community. This is Yeah, not at all. Like
Not at all. Not at
you've
all.
been
And
here.
I just gotta say, first off, I gotta just pat myself on the back for my interviewing skills this stream. I mean, I think I'm doing pretty flawless, honestly. I mean, shout out to
I'm sorry, dude. I'm
shout
sorry.
out to
I'm
Great
feeling the
Bluff, great interview skills by Loncar. No, everyone has different personalities. You know, there's always I've had a couple of very introverted guests on where I'm very like, okay, like, you know, what's in my head, like what question am I gonna ask next because I gotta keep this flowing. So you're making my job very easy,
Sure.
Brian. But obviously, I have to say really quick, just to interject for 1 second,
Getting
it's
red.
like mind-boggling for me. For those of you that know my personal story, like if you were to make like literally go to FedEx, go to Kinko's, whatever you want to call it, and make a copy of two graphs, the exact same graph, like the same exact graph, put them on a transparent piece of paper, overlap them, and it looks like one graph, right? They're on top of each other. It's the same graph. Two pieces of paper. I feel like that is the same for our poker journey, for our life journey. Like, started off as sit and go crushers, moved out
Yep.
of the country for online, moved back, started streaming, started focusing on MTTs, online mainly. Like it's in right in the beginning, the sports injuries leading into poker.
Yep.
You know, massive support from our fathers to get into poker originally. Like I mean, it's very eerie to me. And here we are
Kid,
now. Here we are
wives that
now.
love poker. Wives that love poker.
Yes, wives that love poker. Exactly. Yes. We're both dads now. Like you know, it's very awesome. And obviously, I've been such a big fan of yours for the last number of years, and it's been obvious. And there's something about you that has drawn me to you, and I've always been a big fan of yours and love your, you know, commentary style and just the way you talk and the way you think. We're so lined up, man. And obviously, it's been awesome to hear your story here today and hear your successes. And like everyone everyone keeps saying in the chat, very inspiring, really, very inspiring, very real. Love hearing the tough times just as much as the great times, which makes the great times that much more sweet, as you know. Um,
Absolutely.
and again, man,
Yeah. I mean, +1 on all that. It's amazing how many similarities we have. And those similarities, we didn't notice it a few months ago when we teamed up with TK. We've been fans of each other, rating each other, speaking highly of each other, subscribe to each other's channels, replying to each other's stories. You know, like we've been homies without really realizing we're homies for quite some time. I mean, years now.
yeah,
So like, we have a ton of similarities. It's very eerie in a cool way.
yeah,
And that's why we made such a cool partnership with TK not long ago, and why, again, it would be an absolute shame if we didn't keep on working together. So I'm so glad we are. I'm so glad you're coming with us in this journey with BBZ. It's perfect. I mean, it's a softball for us. We're meant to do this together. And I mean, thanks for the kind words, but man, it's very mutual. It's very mutual. Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. And for those of you that don't know the details, again, I've been getting asked this question over and over again. TurboKings, up until this point in time, was $100 a month, which gained you access to the site, group coaching, live group coaching sessions, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Me and Brian's session together, doing a hand history review of one of my most recent deep runs in a tournament every Monday. That's going to continue on. Nothing's going to change other than the logo on the page that's no longer going to say TurboKings. It's going to say BBZ. Me and Brian are continue on. Brian now is an official BBZ coach, which is a very elite thing. Congrats again, Brian. I'm going to be
Thanks,
brought
brother.
on and continue to do my Monday sessions with Brian over on BBZ. We're going to continue doing our thing. I'm now officially a BBZ ambassador. And like I said at the beginning of the stream, anything with Jordan and Ape Styles, you know it's a great thing. And now BBZ just got a whole lot greater. I'm very honored and happy and excited to continue on with you over at BBZ, continue our journey together, and continue to get better together and get
100%.
get the members that join us better. And it really is remarkable, you know, to so basically go through this as fast as I can. I realized myself personally this last August, about 5 months ago, that certain strategies that I was doing in my tournament game were not working. And at a certain point I realized this isn't bad luck, this isn't variance, this isn't run bad. I'm not playing my best. I'm not playing as optimal as I should be. And I realized, took a step back, took a week or two off, and I started to realize, like, what exactly am I doing wrong? And I literally had some conversations with Brian this summer. As he talked about, we've been kind of, linked up through social media and whatnot. And we chatted on the phone multiple times. And I think it's almost more remarkable now looking back that I've had such success over the last 5 months just from minimal phone conversations with Brian about generalized strategy spots. And,
Michael, that's the cool
insane.
thing about being such an experienced good player like you already are, is you can pick up things so damn fast. It's not the case for every new player out there. You're not going to just have insane results right away. But when a player like Michael, who has a little bit of perspective shifts that need to happen, he needs to tweak his strategy a little bit. He needs to have a little bit of aha moments here and there. When you team that guy up with me, it happens fast. And that's exactly what happened with Michael. He didn't need coaching. He didn't need to learn a whole bunch of stuff. He's an absolute talent. I mean, his lifetime up like almost $1 million. The dude's a beast. The guy's played all the formats. So like to team up with me, it's easy to get really, really quick, good results. And there's so many of you listening right now, you don't realize it, but poker's easier than you think. You'll win more than you think. You would do better than you think if you just had a few shifts like game selection, what sites you play on, how you look at exploitative / equilibrium strategies. Just have some aha moments. Look at things from a different lens. One of the best ways to put it is play soft games and don't blast off your chips. Like stay in tournaments and go crush everybody in a very low variance. Don't bust your chips. Don't bust your tournament life for no reason because Equilibrium told you to call or Equilibrium told you to shove kind of way. So don't pat me on the back too much, dude. You were, before you ever got to me, an incredibly good player, and it was easy to get you to become extremely profitable because I just had to pull a couple strings. And that's a privilege as a coach to get a player like you who comes to me where it's like, oh, look at this guy. This is going to be easy. Tweak, 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 tweak.
Yeah,
boom,
that's exactly what it was I had exact revelations and realizations of this is what I need to fix, this is what I need to fix, this is what I need to fix. I told Brian on the phone, like, this exact thing, and every single time I told him, I think I should be doing this, even though GTO is saying do this because this is better. It was literally every single time, that's exactly what I talk about all the time on TurboKings, Michael. Yes, that's exactly what I do, Michael. Yes, you're correct. You should change that. Yes, you should change. So just getting those confirmations from Brian right away of like, yes, you should do that. Yes, you shouldn't do that. Or, no, you shouldn't do that. Yes, change that. Yes, don't rebuy with 15 bigs. You're right. Don't put as many bullets in that. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Everything you're saying is correct. It just gave me that ultimate confirmation of like, okay, all right, I am going to change these things. And I knew right away that my graphs were going to start swinging hard up again. I didn't realize I thought it was going to go more like this, and it ended up just going like this, which is amazing. So awesome stuff, man. Awesome we linked up, and again, looking forward to continuing with you. Let's get into my favorite part of the show, which is the question and answer segment. This is the time for you guys in the chat to ask away anything at all. I'm going to start with a question here from Casper Gutman in the chat. What's up, Casp? He says, logistically, how do you coordinate the TurboKings coaching sessions with the BBZ daily sessions? How's that going to work?
So I'll take that one. You will gain access to my TurboKings sessions, which again, they're temporarily still TurboKing BBZ sessions. Not too long from now, they'll just be BBZ sessions. He added TK to his seminar offering. So he has a $60 per month offering on bbzpoker.com. And it just got enhanced big time by taking TK and adding TK to his offering without changing the price. So with that being said, right now, while both sites are still active, while both communities are still transitioning and meshing together, you can get the link for the TK sessions on the TK website, just like you always have. And, or if you're signed up for BBZ, you get it in the same location that Ape Styles and all the other coaches drop their Zoom links for the members over there in the Discord. I'm dropping the Zoom link the same place Ape Styles drops his for his weekly seminars. So it's really turnkey. It's just a matter of being in his Discord and clicking the Zoom link compared to being on our TK website and clicking the Zoom link. The access is very readily available and easy to get to. So if you want to join Friday session, for example, you have two options. As a BBZ member, you go to the Discord and click the Zoom link. As a TK member, you go to the website and click the Zoom link. both of them will feed everybody to the same Zoom session where I'll be hosting the coaching session on Friday. Awesome. If that didn't clear it up, please let me know and I can reiterate.
And exclamation point BBZ in the chat for my new, as of today, referral link for BBZ. And again, so
smash that link, guys. Yes. Get this guy some signups tonight.
So TurboKings was already super fire. I've been telling you guys it's the best. And we're going to continue doing exactly what we've been doing over on the BBZ platform, where you will not only have access to us, you'll have access to Ape Styles and Jordan and all those guys over on BBZ. So everything just got a lot more awesome for less money per month. On top of all that, you're going to get access to the raising range charts over on BBZ as well. Just amazing stuff, man. Absolutely amazing stuff.
Pretty cool. Like this idea of you being an ACR pro, Ape Styles being an ACR pro and being one of the big time coaches at BBZ. And now they're getting everything they would have got with TK for $40 less, and they get Ape Style seminars and BBZ seminars and pre-flop ranges. It's like, it's probably the best value bet, pun intended, in all of the training site land, I would say. It's probably not close.
It's not even close now. It's not even close now.
Yeah.
It really isn't. And Tugger Nuts, he asked a question, Brian, I was actually asking myself. I'm really curious what you got to say about this. Isn't Ape Styles Super GTO? Isn't BBZ Super GTO? Or is it just a mix of everything? Because obviously we talk a lot about like edge passing and don't do this GTO all the way and this and that. And what do you have to say about that?
Short and sweet answer would be yes. As far as I know, as far as I understand it, as far as I've always interpreted things, yes, they are and they will continue to be. Hence, the value I bring to BBZ, the value TK brings to BBZ is that we're not the same. We're going to appeal to a much different audience. The masses who play low stakes, the masses who are not quite winning players, the masses who are recreational players and don't have intentions of playing high rollers, the guys who play $5 and $10 and $15 and $20 tournaments and don't have any intention of changing. They're constantly encountering limpers instead of raisers. They only get re-raised by the really good hands like aces and kings. This is a totally different game. This is not perfect poker playing robot sitting in each chair like you might encounter in a 630 on ACR or a 1K buy-in on ACR or the 5K scoop event on Stars or the GG high rollers. This is a completely different game. It's quite literally the same. It's a different game quite literally. Yes, it's 2 cards. Yes, it's called Hold'em. Yeah, there's a button and blinds and ante. Sure, it's the same that way. But the strategies called for beating each format of that game, very, very, very different. So they play completely different buy-ins than I play, and therefore can't play as exploitatively as me. And that was the disconnect. That was the problem, in my opinion, is that it's fine to coach high-stake players in a very go play high-stakes poker kind of way. But to coach players who are playing low stakes in a very equilibrium, theoretical kind of way, that's the problem. That's where TK was really trying to claim stake and be different so that we could appeal to the masses who are not going to have 100K bankrolls, who are not going to go compete with 1 or 2% ROIs against really tough fields, who are not ever going to get to that really high up level of understanding all the super complexities that are built into Nash equilibrium. That's precisely the value that Jordan largely sees in me and TK, among other things, of course, but it's my ability to get in there and not change the culture. They're not looking for a culture change. Add to the culture, be more diverse, be more welcoming of all player types, be helpful for even the guy who's playing the micro stakes full of recreational players. So yes, they are that way. And that's sort of the point, is now they get to appeal to a wider audience. They get to put a different kind of graph on social media ads. They get to talk about the guy who never has a losing month playing these lower stakes and acquiring massive profit. They don't have that guy in their camp quite yet. And that's what me and Michael Loncar and Big Tuna are. That's what we do at TK, is we produce big time profits playing, down to earth kind of games with bankrolls that most of us could eventually see ourselves playing with one day, compared to having 150 or 200K online minimum and having 50 to 100K downswings regularly, compared to being surrounded by top notch, high IQ, hardworking, seasoned and experienced pros who are trying to rip your heart out every hand. That's a tough way to coach people. You don't want to, if that was my job to coach players to beat Ape Styles, to beat BBZ, I wouldn't want to be a coach. If the order was that tall, if I had that much work in front of me to teach you so much that you have to go compete with the best of the best, I would be out. I don't want to do anything like that. I want to teach guys to go print money at easy to beat tournaments. Go play tournaments that anybody can play. Go play the 16s, the 11s, the 22s, the 33s. Play some Sunday majors, sure. Play a few satellites into the juicy stuff, sure. And do it with a strategy that's designed to get into the pockets of weak players. Usually that's not equilibrium. Equilibrium is essentially designed for perfect poker playing robot against perfect poker playing robot. They both use Nash equilibrium and they break even against each other. Nobody wins. Well, down here in game selection land, where we're playing an average buy-in of 30 or 40, and we're mixing in $16 2K turbos and $10 1K hypers and 5 rebuy 2Ks and the 55 nightly 30K and essentially like pretty low stake stuff. The strategy is needed to have huge ROIs are oftentimes not Nash equilibrium, to put it bluntly. So that's yes. Answer to your question is yes, they are a little bit more, maybe a lot of bit more theoretically based than me, and their strategies indicate that they're trying to be balanced more so than mine does. But that's where we complement each other. Like opposites attract kind of thing. You want to go to a training site that has you covered. You don't want to go to a training site that's only low stakes exploitative guy. You don't want to go to a training site that's only high stakes robots, right? You want to go to a training site that has both and ideally mixes them together nicely, which is precisely what we've done here by joining forces TK with BBZ. Is now we got the best of both worlds. You got the biggest winner on the planet. Maybe I'm not the biggest winner on the planet at what I do, but there's not many people who are up, the amount of money I'm up in the last 3 years playing the games that I play, disregarding cash games. We're just talking tournaments now. So I'm the most consistent. I don't have huge scores, no 6-figure scores, no scores above 40K, only a few scores above 20K. So most of my profit is just, winning every freaking night. Win. I'm not saying I'm sun running. I'm not saying like, oh, this has to turn eventually. No, that's what we do. We play soft tournaments with a massive edge. And the massive edge doesn't come from knowing equilibrium. It's a prerequisite to understand a lot of equilibrium. Sure, you need to be able to, duck and weave and change gears and do things in a very efficient way because you know equilibrium. But we're winning the money in a logical, exploitative way, largely. And that's, again, what I'm bringing to the table, what we're bringing to the table as TK is a bunch of boots on the ground grinders who do it in a different way. So it's going to appeal to more people and help both TK and BBZ in that way.
And a question from my boy, Shum Cooley. What's up, Shum? He says, Brian, question. For someone like myself that plays in a ring-fenced environment where the majority of the population limps and over limps and doesn't raise a lot, this is not ACR I'm talking about right now, how helpful would TurboKings and BBZ to be for me to get even better and improve?
So my first part of the answer, let's forget about TurboKings and BBZ. You want to find a coach who is slaughtering the games that you play. You want to find a coach who has the results that you want. Find a coach who's producing a graph that looks like the one you hope to produce yourself. That's step number one. It sounds like you're playing some low stake games, some soft games, probably some big fields. I'm not sure what site you're playing on, but just that I know you're playing against a bunch of recreational limpers, me too. That's what I do. I'm playing against limpers nonstop. Watch my stream on Friday night. I'll be, figuratively pointing and laughing and chuckling at all the hilarious limping going on because it's a bunch of fish who never raise. Nobody bluffs. Everybody's passive. Everybody's punting their money around. This is a completely crazy table. Look at this. Yellow tag, yellow tag, yellow tag, yellow tag, yellow tag. There's one reg in the mix and he's not that good. Equilibrium is less important in that setting, right? So that's where I find myself playing very often, is surrounded by very weak players, oftentimes with a very high VPIP, dominated by limping. So if that's the case, it sounds like TK/BBZ is the perfect place for you because there's no more hireable coach than me to teach you how to beat limping recreational players. That's where I've made an enormous amount of my $2 million is smashing limpers, crushing tight fish, crushing loose fish, extracting the maximum from the whale, taking as much as I can from the nits. These are things that are not built into equilibrium strategies. And that's precisely what I specialize in, is winning tons of money at the games that you guys play. And that's essentially how I've positioned myself as what I thought would make me the most hireable coach, make me a really popular coach. It didn't take off quite like I thought, but it's for the wrong reasons. It's because low stakes are not glamorous. It's because you don't have big scores to post and brag about as often as the other guys. It's because it's not impressive because it's a $16 2K. Yeah, who cares if you won it 28 times? It's only a 16 2K. Nah, dog, look at the graph. Straight cheddar, So like this idea of finding a guy who has the results you want is the way to hire a coach, in my opinion. And now BBZ, by acquiring me and TK, they can appeal to a whole lot more players like yourself because there's not a better coach to hire than me for low stake strategies. And that's I guess that's my answer. There's nothing else to it.
It's a great answer.
TK and BBZ is the place to go. No doubt about it.
Brian talked about his numbers. Okay, yeah, good.
I was gonna say, I'll guarantee you, if you want to sign up for BBZ/TK tonight or anytime soon, you can get in my whispers, get in Loncar's whispers. I'll guarantee your $60 investment. If you're not happy after the first month, talking to the guy who asked the question, specifically, not everybody listening, that would be a little bit much, but the guy who asked the question, if you invest 60 and don't think it's for you, no sweat, I'll send the 60 back. Give us a shot. You'll love it.
Boom.
And use Loncar's link.
Yes. Yeah, link is in the chat, guys. Make sure you guys sign up for BBZ today. And for those of you that have been signing up on TurboKings, make sure you move forward, cancel your subscription on TurboKings, and make sure you sign up through the BBZ link now moving forward. And yeah, man, I couldn't be any more confident to back up Brian on that, man. There's a reason I'm up from middle of August until December 31st of this last year, the last 5 months. I'm up over 200K. Over 150K from tournaments, over 50K from cash games, and it's made poker fun again. You know, poker's not fun when you're breaking even losing. It's not fun. Nothing's fun when you're not doing great. It's amazing, and it's amazing to see the results. It's amazing to have collaborated with Brian and see everything just blast off again, and looking forward to continue just improving and stacking little things in my game as I have over on TurboKings, now on BBZ. And man, yeah. So Karoun says hard thing, Loncar, is to make those exploit assumptions once you study equilibrium. And that's where the human aspect comes in. That's where the
logic net.
That's where the logic net comes in. You know, it's like, oh, well, I know I'm supposed to shove this, but this doesn't feel good. Well, then don't do it. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. If it doesn't feel comfortable, don't do it. Those are all the spots I'm always finding myself in, like, oh, I know that I'm supposed to do this, but this guy is really tight, and trust all those inner thoughts in your head. Trust your gut. Trust your knowledge, and trust that human aspect, which I feel like isn't talked about enough to answer that question. So
100% it's not. Yeah, we've talked about it in length, you and I, Michael.
Yeah.
But if more players listened to their gut starting yesterday, there would be less money for us to win because they would be winning more.
Yes.
Straight up.
Yep. And I got to ask you, my last question for the question and answer chat for the segment is maybe the most important question here on the podcast today. Speaking as a father, how has it been being a father for about the last year?
I'm so glad you asked. I feel like I've neglected my boy. Like, I'm so glad you asked. Sorry, Nolan. I love you, bro. Dude, I've fallen in love with fatherhood. Similar to how we all feel watching you be a dad on stream and on your stories and just generally like on your social media, what you give us. It's a joy to watch you. You clearly love it. You clearly thrive in it. Your boys clearly love you so much. And that was always cool for me, even as a dude who wasn't a father. My boy's itchy from his allergies. So now that I have my own little bundle of love, my 8-month-old, he turned 8 months today. His name's Nolan Allen Fite. He's half Mexican. My wife is Mexican. We call him Little Texican. He came out huge. I'm a thick dude, but I'm not tall. My wife's pretty small, so he came out huge, like unexpectedly huge. He's above average on everything still, 8 months in. His personality and his humor and his intensity are always just like reminding me of myself in such a loving, I'm gonna love this kid even more than I thought kind of way. I'm like, if you can't tell, I'm obsessed. I love my wife. I love my son. My parents live down the street and they love him so much. My sister and her husband have 4 kids and they live right down the street. My brother, the fire chief, lives right down the street. So everyone's seeing him and meshing together, and it's just so much love and so warm and so enjoyable, and we're so blessed and effectively lucky. You know, like I understand the odds. I understand that, you know, having a perfectly healthy baby is likely, but wouldn't be crazy if it didn't happen, right? So I'm just like I'm counting my blessings and loving every single day of it, and like trying to soak it up as much as I can because he's growing so fast and it's freaking me out. He's got 2 little teeth, and he's starting to sound like he might be saying "mama" and little things like this, and it's been a total joy. And it was hard to put an end, or, you know, literally, like, I was on maternity leave for quite a while. Like, straight up, I was enjoying the time. I wasn't worried about checking into Discord as much. I wasn't worried about getting live streams in. My YouTube channel died. I stopped putting in volume. I could have won a whole lot more money last year. It wasn't the most important thing for me, though. Spending time with my baby and my wife was the most important thing for me. And it was pretty tough. Like it was tough to end that period because it's so enjoyable and it's so special and it doesn't last long enough. But that's life, you know. I got to get back to work eventually, and I work from home, and he's just in the other room right now. I'm gonna go see him right, you know, as soon as this is done, and that's a huge luxury as well. So like being an online poker pro who's weathered the storm and grinded it out, and could have easily been a guy who went back to the work 9 to 5 work life. I feel very fortunate and very much like winners win about it. I feel like I've created my own destiny, and I feel like Nolan's going to create his own. I feel like I'm going to be an excellent dad for him down the stretch. I feel like it's just going to be this continuation of awesomeness and winning. And I don't mean that in an arrogant way. Please don't take it that way. I just mean it in a winners win, head down, graph up, win to win lifestyle, produce confidence, produce wins. Forget about variance, forget about tough decisions, forget about tilt. Win for a living, be happy, sleep good, wake up excited, get some exercise, stay hydrated, take naps, and be a winner. That's the vibes over here, and we're just loving life, man. Straight up.
Congrats, man. Winners win, man. Congrats on doing everything you're doing. Congrats on you and wifey and your family and your boy and everything moving forward, man. Thanks for coming on today. Thanks for sharing your story. And
truly my pleasure, man. I'm
yeah,
sorry that I kind of dominated the microphone. I understand that, like, you know, this is probably not how they normally go. I wasn't really sure like how often to pause or not. Once you get me talking poker, who knows how long I'll go. So thanks for dealing with me, Michael. I appreciate it. You're so good at what you do. You're truly something special inside of our community and our industry. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you do, not only over the next few years, but in your career as a whole. I can't wait to continue working with you. It's just truly been nothing but a pleasure. And everybody in the chat, back at you. I mean, I see the positivity. It's moving kind of fast. I see the kind words. I wish I could, you know, respond to everybody. That would just eat up too much of the clock and be kind of spammy. So thanks to everybody for the kind words. Thanks for hanging out tonight. Please continue supporting us. Hit up BBZ, hit up TK, get in the mix. $60 a month for the best coaching in all the land. Let's get your link in there one more time.
Yes, there it is.
There it is right there. Yeah, exclamation BBZ. Click the link and get signed up, man. Like, again, you said it best recently, Loncar. It's not going to change our life. It's not going to change your life or my life if any of these people sign up for BBZ Poker Tonight, for TK Poker Tonight. But it could damn sure change theirs, you know, and that really resonated with me because I wanted to spend less time building a business so I could spend more time being a mentor and a coach and a player. I love changing lives, dude. I love when people come to me and I don't even really know who they are except for their screen name. I get a long direct message saying how much TK has helped them, how their wife got to stay home instead of have to go to work this year, how they got to pay off their debt, they got to take their family on vacation, they're winning double what they were before they joined TK, there's less variance, all these things. Like that's a win for me. That's a big W for me. And that's what we're trying to provide here, guys. This is not some like smoke and mirror, sell you some bullshit for $60 a month and hope you stay subscribed. No, dude, this is the real deal. Like, this is boots on the ground, real grinders, real seasoned pros, winning real money, sharing as many secrets as we can every single seminar, and it's gonna get better and better and better and better and better. And we would just love for you to be a part of it. So check us out.
Awesome. Cheers, man. Shout out to you and the fam. Thanks again, Brian.
Back at you, man. Give everybody a hug for us. I'll talk to you soon, Michael. Thanks again, brother.
All right, thanks for coming on, Brian. Thanks, man.
Later, guys.
All right. That was a fun one, man. That was a fun one. Mr. Brian Fite, ladies and gentlemen. Awesome having him on today. I was looking forward to this for the last couple of months. Been planning this stream for a while, and it's really crazy how the universe works in mysterious ways, as they say, right? Like, I've been planning on having Brian on here last week of December, first week of January for, like I said, for a couple of months. This has been something I've been thinking about, and what perfect timing to have him on literally days after the BBZ merger happened, and obviously awesome changes happening to the TK community. Man, awesome stuff today, man. Thanks to all of you for being here. Shout again to Brian. Shout out to Brian's wife, Fernanda, and little guy, the little Texican. Happy 8-month birthday to him today. And yeah, as great as I want to continue being at poker, I know that the most important thing at the end of my life, when I'm passing on to the next realm or heavens or whatever you want to call it, I know that I will look at my life and say to myself that the most important thing that I ever did here on this earth was being a great dad and a great husband
and a great family man. There's nothing more important than that. So shout out to Brian for doing it all, not just on the poker streets, but in his house and his family, and just doing everything right. So shout out to Brian. What a great guy, great poker player, and what a great stream this was. So yeah, awesome stuff, man. I got tingles up the spine, man. And like I said, Brian has made poker fun again for me. It's made me at the point right now where I'm personally just more excited about poker and my career side of things than I've ever been in my entire life. And like I said, I'm looking forward to continue now on the BB side. And if you guys have been with me for the last couple months over on TurboKings, I've been saying to you, the TurboKings is the nuts. It's the best. And I meant that with every ounce of my being and every ounce of my soul. It's very fitting and very awesome now that we are being merged into the BBZ realm side of things, because I've always held such a high regard to BBZ, Jordan, their coaches, Ape Styles, no doubt about it. You got some of the top dogs over there, and now we're part of that group. Honored to be a part of the BBZ family. Honored to be a BBZ ambassador and continue to do the awesomeness with Brian we've been doing over on TurboKings now with spades over on the BBZ platform. So yeah, that's that. Amen. Cheers, guys. Awesome, awesome stream. Shout again to Brian coming on. Now, thanks for being here. Stay safe. Happy New Year. God bless. Adios, guys. If you liked this video, make sure and give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button, which is free. And don't forget to click the bell, which will let you know when any new video has been uploaded to my YouTube channel. If you want to catch my streams live, I'm currently streaming all day Wednesdays and all day Sundays over at twitch.tv under the username Loncar Poker. Thanks for watching.